What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Thank you guys all for being here. We're going to wait a second, or we'll wait a couple of minutes for everyone to come into the room. And also, let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. So I just want to make sure everything is working properly before we get started with the show today. Thank you guys all for stopping by once again. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. Let me know if the music's too loud. I can turn it on and off, so we'll be probably doing that periodically through the live stream. But I like to kind of, set the mood, kind of get everybody a little relaxed so we can enjoy the show. And also, as you guys come in the room, let me know that you're here. Put your name in the chat, and then also let me know where you're watching me from. We can talk a little bit about some of the different areas, different places where people watch me from. I think the last time that I looked it up, most of my audience was coming from New York. So I found that interesting. So just let me know where you're coming from. All right, Brandon says, I can see and hear you. Thank you very much for that, Brandon. And today we're going to be talking about a few different headline stories. And I want to do this every Thursday, but I need your help. I need you guys to support the live streams. So one way that you can show support is by hitting the like button. Other way is by just showing up. That's all you need to do. And basically the way that I look at this is if I see that we have people participating, enjoying this, then I will continue to do it. And so that's the way we're going to run this. So make sure you like the video. I think the most important thing is liking the video. If you like the video, YouTube promotes it out to more people. And so the more people that it gets to, the more people that will come in and join the fun that we'll be having here. Now, I'm going to open this up. This is going to be dialogue back and forth. So we're going to look at some of the stories, but I want you guys to let me know what you think about some of the things that are going on. And so that's one of the things that I like about YouTube and live streams is the fact that we can interact back and forth while we're watching or talking about a certain topic. You don't get that on the news. Regular mainstream media, of course, you're not really getting that interaction back and forth. And I understand it's hard to do, right? It's hard to be able to get that back and forth. So we can do that here. We can talk about some of the tough issues. Also, we have to face reality. We have an election this year, and there's going to be a lot going on this year when it comes to this election, presidential election, as well as some of these congressional seats. And so it's very good that we have a platform where we can talk about this and learn from each other. Okay, so let me go ahead. I want to get in the chat for a minute, and got a lot of people coming from a lot of different places. So I'm still getting a little used to some of the things that I have set up on this live stream. I've been working on this stuff for a long time. I would say, honestly, I've been working on this for just to fine tune it for at least a month. So at least 4 weeks. And now I've gotten it to where I'm pretty comfortable with it. Still some, things I'm working on. Let me get some shout outs here. Roscoe, thank you for being here from Arizona, Sanford, Arizona. Rick, thank you for being here. It sounds like an epic too. Let's see. The sound is epic too high. So, okay, he's saying it's too high. If you guys think it's too high, just let me know. You can put one in the chat if you think it's too high. I'll turn it down just a little bit. So hopefully that is a little bit better. I know I like, when it comes to these live streams, I like to have them loud because when I do regular videos, I don't, maybe you're talking about the music. I don't know. Let me turn that off for now. We'll just turn that off for right now. But when it comes to the sound, I like to have it, my audio, I like to have it pretty loud because sometimes it will go in and out. So, all right, let's go ahead and do a couple more shout outs and then we'll get started with the show. I got to get into this. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, and so it'll take me a little time to get used to it. But we'll get there. Rick, thank you for watching. Rick is coming from Arkansas, from Riverside, California. Thank you for being here. Who else is in the building? James Bond is in the building from Idaho. Thank you, James Bond. Or James Bonds. I can pull that up. There we go. And Janet says, yes, I can hear you. What Janet's saying here. Janet says, yes, I can hear you very clear. My name is Janet Knight. I've been listening for a long time from Maine. Thank you for being here, Janet. Appreciate your support. And we have Cobb. Thank you, Cobb, from Oakland, California. Oakland, now you guys just lost your In and Out. I heard that they're closing down. That was a news story that was going on. That was international news. No, I won't say international, but that was national news. It was going everywhere. If you guys don't know about In and Out, it's probably, in my opinion, and this might be just a West Coast thing, but in my opinion, In and Out is the best hamburger or cheeseburger. I like cheeseburgers. They have the best cheeseburgers that I've ever tasted. If you're going to compare it to all the other states, In and Out is one of those places that when I travel, especially if I'm outside of the country, as soon as I get back, I want In and Out. And I don't eat In and Out that often. When I'm here, I very rarely eat it. I might eat it maybe once a month, maybe once every couple of months. But when I leave, it's interesting. When you leave and you go somewhere else, first, and you guys, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, like when I travel, like I'll travel for 2 or 3 months at a time. So when I'm outside of the country, there's certain things that you start craving. And so In and Out is one of them. And I don't know what it is. And there's an In and Out near where I live. And so every time you drive by, and we all know this, if you're all the people in Southern California, all the people who have In and Out nearby, because I know there's an In and Out in Nevada, in Las Vegas. I know there's an In and Out. I think Idaho just got an In and Out. Texas, I think, now has an In and Out. You guys let me know. But when it comes to In and Out, it's when you drive by, you can smell it. It's I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but they're cooking obviously, and you can smell the hamburgers when you drive by. Very distinct smell. It doesn't smell like anything else that I've ever smelled before. Same thing with Chick-fil-A. In my opinion, you drive by Chick-fil-A, you can smell it. But anyway, I'm going really way off topic. But all right, Robert, thank you for becoming a member there. Let's see. One of the things I'm challenged with here is anytime I have to find people. I have 2 screens open, so if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about here. And so when I see something on one screen, then I have to find it on the other screen in order to pull it up. But Robert, thank you very much for becoming a member. What I'm going to do when it comes to, I can search. Makes it a lot easier. Do that. What I'm going to do when it comes to members, I am in the process, not coming up. I'm in the process of working on memberships. So getting more people to become members. I don't know what I did here. Okay, here we go. And so part of becoming a member means that you guys get special things, okay? And I'm still doing the same videos. I'm not changing anything when it comes to videos. But for the members, I want to do something a little bit different where I just, we just have kind of, I won't say a one-on-one because there'll be a few of us in the room, but I'm just going to open it up. Before I do regular videos, I'm going to open it up and we can just kind of talk about some of the latest news and things like that. But it'll be on more of a, personal setting. It's less people, not like a live stream here where I have, over 100 people in here. It'll be a lot less. And so I'm considering doing that. I did one already and I had one person show up. Now, granted, right now my membership is very low. I think it's like 21 people are members of the channel. And being a member, just understand this, being a member, you're helping support the channel. You're helping support what we do here. And so it's always appreciated, always appreciated. And you don't have to become a member, but if you are a member, I definitely want to provide something extra for you, just for being there as a member. So thank you very much, Robert. All right, let's see. We're gonna have to get going with the show first, and then I'll come back and we'll look at some of the chat, because I see there's a lot of people in here talking about a variety of different things, and so I want to go over some of that stuff. Okay, so first thing I want to go over, talk a little bit about, is the calendar. We're going to do this very briefly. I just did a video earlier today talking about this, but I just want to put it out there one more time so you guys understand what's going on with the calendar of events, what's going on in February, basically. And so just so you guys know how this is all set up, for those of you who are new to my channel or have never seen me do like a calendar before, and this will only take like 5 minutes, it's not very long. But if you're looking at the top left corner here, you see this little logo. That logo is for the Senate. That's when the Senate's in session. And then the blue is when the House is in session. And then the purple here, this is both. So this is when they're both in session. Okay, so now that I've gone over that, we're going to look a little bit here. Now, here are I kind of color coded the checks. I don't know why I did that. I just did it just because. So if you guys are looking at the top right corner, see all the different color coded checks, and that signifies when checks are going out. So today, SSI should have received, if you're receiving SSI benefits, you should have received your check today. Also, Congress is in session, both the House and the Senate. And then tomorrow, the Senate will be in session, as well as people who started receiving Social Security prior to May of 1997. You will receive your check tomorrow. Normally, you receive it on the 3rd, but the 3rd is on a Saturday, so they're not going to send out checks on the 3rd, so it'll be on the 2nd. Okay, a lot of you guys already know this, but I like to talk about this because there are new people coming in, and I also have people ask me questions, believe it or not, about when the checks will be going out for people receiving Social Security or Social Security benefits as a whole. All right, so then we're looking at the 5th here. We have the House in session. The Senate will not be in session on the 5th. Then the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have both chambers in session. And then on the 9th, we have the Senate in session. Then 13th, we have the House in session. Then the House in session the House will also be in session on the 14th. And then checks will be going out to people receiving Social Security benefits whose birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th. Then on the 15th, we have the House in session, and the 16th, the House in session. So then we'll move into a holiday on the 19th. Then on the 20th, nothing's going on the 20th. We don't have, the Congress is on recess on the 20th. Congress is also on recess on the 21st. And then on the 22nd, they're on recess, and the 23rd, they're on recess. And so then on the 21st, people who receive Social Security benefits and their birthday falls between the 11th and the 21st, that's when those checks will go out. And then we'll come to the last week of the month. We'll have the Senate in session on the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. The House will be on recess. So the House has they're going to have a nice 2-week, I don't want to call it a vacation, but a nice 2-week recess where they're back in their home district. Okay. Also on the 28th, that's when the Social Security benefits will go out to people whose birthday falls between the 21st and the 31st. I said that wrong. 11th to 21st. Yeah, 21st to 31st, something like that. I think we don't have 31 days, but you guys get my point. It'll be the rest of the people that have birthdays that fall between the 21st and the end of the month. Hopefully that made sense. I'm confusing myself. Good Lord. Okay. All right. So I want to get to some of the stories that are out there. And I find this really, really interesting because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I mean, you just think about all this stuff. You have the situation that's going on in Texas right now, and we're going to go over that. We'll talk about it. And I want to hear you guys, your input on this. And then we also have the situation with the funding for the border. So we have the Senate right now trying to hash out a deal when it comes to the border. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we have AI. We have deep fakes. This is a story that we really need to be paying attention to. This is, out of all the stories that are going on right now, I think we can come to some type of a resolution on a lot of these situations. I think with Texas, I think ultimately, something will be resolved. I think Texas is something that we should be paying close attention to. But with the deep fakes, I'm really concerned. And I'm concerned because it can come from anywhere. And when I'm talking about deep fakes, I'm talking about I don't know if you guys were paying attention a couple of weeks ago, or was it a couple of weeks ago? The New Hampshire primary, we saw a deep fake of Biden telling people that not to vote. Basically, don't come out and vote. Don't vote at all. And it sounds just like him. And I guess what they're doing, I don't know exactly how all this AI stuff works. I've used like the Chat GPT and all that stuff, but as far as like impersonating people, and I don't really know how that works. But apparently it was his voice, but it was saying things that he didn't actually say. We should be very, very concerned about this because, of course, we have an election this year, and you can have people from other countries creating these deep fakes, putting them out here in the U.S., and it can impact our election. And so you have other countries that are, of course, they're interested in our elections, and they're interested in disrupting our elections. So I think it's something that we really need to be paying attention to. I don't think it's getting enough attention as of right now, but it's scary. It is. In Slovakia, they had a situation of a deep fake, and we're going to go into that. Well, I think CNN was reporting on it. I'll show you the clip. But yeah, we need to watch out for this because I think this is something that can definitely impact us. I mean, this is, and it's, of course, you could have people in the U.S. doing this, but I think people from other countries are probably really interested in doing this type of stuff because with social media now, I've seen so many stories, and I started covering, and you guys a lot of you guys have come on and start watching me for a while. If you've been watching me for a while, I should say, I was covering the stimulus checks. I was covering different things. Then I started covering Social Security and then news stories and stuff. And I have to do research every time I put these videos out. And so one of the things that I found is doing research, there's a lot of bad information that's out there, okay? Are just complete false information. You can type in stimulus checks just right now, and you'll get news articles on stimulus checks saying that stimulus checks will be arriving this month or in a few weeks or what have you. And that's sad, but some people do believe that. They believe that stimulus checks will be coming, that fourth stimulus check. I mean, and it's just think of people using that, using false information to control or to impact an election. I mean, it would be just crazy. So we need to pay attention to that. Okay. All right. So, and I don't know what's going on. I think there's a lag in the and how the information is coming to me for whatever reason. I don't know. It looks like there's a delay here. So just have to work with that. But Lori is the last person who posted something, and she put 1 there. Okay, so that's as far as the audio is concerned. All right, let's. I want to get into the first story. So I was just talking about these whole deepfakes. I want to show you guys a video clip, and this clip is from CNN, and they were talking about deepfakes. And always pay attention to the source when you're getting information, and you kind of make your own opinion about what you think of it. But one thing I want you to pay attention to is just what they're talking about. They're going to be talking about Slovakia and how the situation happened in Slovakia. But we'll go ahead and play this, and then I might stop it as we're playing it and talk a little bit about it. Here we go.
Tech lead today damaging deepfakes created by artificial intelligence going viral in recent days. Fake Biden robocalls to voters, fake explicit images of Taylor Swift. About 2 weeks ago, images of Donald Trump appeared to show red splotches on his right hand. These pictures, however, were real.
Okay, I want you guys to pay attention to this. Okay? And this little portion, we're going to come back to this little portion. But I want you to pay attention to this picture and then listen to former President Trump's response. I think this is very telling. I'll just say it like that. But it's almost comical to me. I actually thought of it as, I'll explain what I'm saying. We'll come back to it. But just pay attention to this picture and then former President Trump. Here we go.
That's actually red splotches on his hand, or whatever it is. This is what Trump said when he was asked about it yesterday.
You didn't see the photos coming out of Trump Tower?
No.
There was, okay.
What was wrong with it?
The other one. Yeah. Okay. You don't want to tell us what happened with the hand?
Nothing. Maybe it's AI.
Maybe it's AI.
Trump suggesting the images were made by AI distorts reality. Problem is, people could believe it because AI is running amok. CNN's Donny O'Sullivan shows us now how deepfakes recently interfered in an election.
Do you think does this sound like you?
It does sound like me.
It sounds like him, but it isn't him. This is Michael Šimečka. He is the leader of the main opposition party here in Slovakia, and on the eve of this country's elections last year, he was the target of a deepfake.
My party was advocating a strong pro-Western, pro-European course to help itself fend off the Russian aggression.
Just 2 days before voting began in that high-stakes election, this audio tape began circulating online. It purported to be a recording of a conversation in which Šimečka talks about stealing the election.
So this didn't come out of the blue. It came against the backdrop of a narrative that the elections were to be legitimate, to be rigged.
His party, Progressive Slovakia, went on to lose the election by a few points.
Do you think this could have changed the results of the election?
No way of knowing. We have stats that on Facebook alone it had 100,000 views, but it probably had some effect.
Slovakia is a country of some 5.5 million people, and it's bordered by Poland and Ukraine.
So a lot of experts say Americans should be paying closer attention to what is happening here in Eastern Europe, as it could be a sign of what is to come in the United States.
My warning is brace yourself for upcoming barrage of deepfakes. We'll be targeting presidential candidates in the US.
Daniel Milo ran a government agency in Slovakia that countered disinformation.
In my professional capacity, I do believe that this deepfake was part of a wider influence campaign by Russia to interfere into Slovak elections.
On the same day the deepfake emerged, the Russian SVR Foreign Intelligence Agency published a press release that pushed a similar conspiracy theory that the US government and Šimečka were working to rig Slovakia's elections. The director of NATO Stratcom said the deepfake and that Russian statement simultaneously correspond to each other and promote the same false narrative.
So you don't think the SVR's statement and the deepfake, the fact that they came out almost at the same time, you don't think that's a coincidence?
No, I don't think that's a coincidence at all. It's much more likely explanation, to me at least, is that this is all part of a wider operation that was aimed to disrupt the outcome of the elections as such.
One of the earliest posts of this deepfake came from a pro-Russian politician in Slovakia who also pushed election conspiracy theories on Russian TV.
Some of the first people to share it on social media here seem to be pretty Russia-friendly politicians.
They are Russia-friendly.
In today's Money
Politicians, it can't be definitively proven that this has some Russian origin, but of course, a loss for progressive Slovakia and a win for the other side would and does serve Russian interests, that's for sure.
Kremlin officials did not reply to requests for comment.
But even today, months after the elections here in Slovakia, there are still versions of that deepfake circulating on social media, including on Facebook.
Facebook reaction was very inconsistent and incoherent. In some cases, they just put a label that, you know, this is most likely disinformation. In other cases, they removed the audio recording, but yet in other cases, they left the video untouched.
What's your message to Facebook?
Well, guys, put your house in order.
Asked about AI misinformation, Facebook's parent company told CNN, "We label it and downrank it in feed so fewer people see it." But CNN found multiple instances where the company did not label this deepfake, and their statement did not explain why. Regardless, once a deepfake spreads, the damage can be done. Even some of Shemechka's own supporters were confused.
People who are educated follow politics. They understand what's at stake, but still were confused by the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So people who are politically engaged, supporters of you.
Absolutely. So I think this might be the year when we see deepfake boom in election campaigns all across the world.
Now, we understand US officials are grappling with how to guard against deepfakes. One senior official told us about a process of contingency planning within the federal government for a foreign nation using AI to interfere in the US presidential election. But the challenge is, Jake, AI technology enables anybody to cheaply create these sort of deepfakes. So people at home, political operatives, even pranksters could conceivably pull off attacks like this just as easily as Russia, China, or other nation states.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so that was the story. Now, what I find amazing about, well, first off, I want to talk a little bit about Facebook. I didn't get a chance to watch. There was a hearing yesterday on the Senate floor. I watched some hearings, but hearings like this, it was about social media. So they had all the different leaders of social media on at this hearing. Okay, they were subpoenaed, so they were there. I don't think a lot of these hearings that we see, it's just for the public. It's politicians grandstanding, politicians out there saying, just because they want to get out there and point fingers and yell and scream and get that soundbite so they can use that for campaigns. I think that it happens a lot when we watch these hearings. So a lot of these hearings aren't very productive. And so I didn't watch this one yet. I will watch some of it when I get some time, because these hearings are hours long, and I like to watch. I want to see the whole context. I don't want to just see the little clips. But of course, there were some news articles that came out about Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and he apologized to the parents, and he was getting grilled by different senators. But Facebook, it's bad. It is bad. A lot of if you go, what I'll do a lot is I want to fact check stuff. So I'll go to these different fact check sites. There are different ones. PolitiFact is one of them that I go to a lot. So if I hear a politician say something, I go to PolitiFact and see if they've done any research on it and if they can confirm or deny some of the statements that have been made. And there's always Facebook article, and they're all false. And so what they'll do is they'll show you where the article came from, and then they'll give you the background, and they'll give you the information when it comes to these different things. And then they will tell you, do they think that it's fake or do they think that it's real? And a lot of the stuff, a lot of the sites are, a lot of the stuff is coming from Facebook. Very little is coming from YouTube. YouTube, I think, does a pretty good job of clamping down on a lot of the fake information that's out there. But for whatever reason, Facebook, maybe because they have all these different, they have groups and they have all these different little places you can share things on Facebook. Maybe it's harder for them to clamp down on it. I don't know, but it's a lot. Definitely a lot of stuff. A lot of, I don't like to use the word fake news, but a lot of the information is incorrect. And a lot of it's coming from Facebook. Okay. So now I told you about former President Trump. I want to go back to this because I just found this very, it was comical, really. It's a serious thing, but it was kind of comical. So just looking at this picture here, you see him out there. He's waving his hand. This is his, we're looking at him. This is his right hand. Okay. Now, what I found really amusing about this is when he's asked by the reporter about his hand, how's your hand? And if I'm not mistaken, let's just play the clip. Here we go.
Is on his hand or whatever it is. This is what Trump said when he was asked about it yesterday.
You didn't see the photos coming out of Trump Tower?
No.
There was, okay.
What was
Okay, so I've interviewed thousands of people. Okay, when I say interviewed, I basically mean I have played a role in, I don't want to call it interrogating, but investigating different people. Okay. It wasn't an interrogation. It's an investigation. So I'm investigating different people. I'm trying to find out, are they telling me the truth? Are they lying to me? And what I found amusing about this is the fact that they asked him, how's your hand? What's going on with your hand? And what does he do? He holds up his right hand, the hand that had the sores or whatever that was, the blood that was on his hand. He holds up that hand. He says, first off, he says, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he holds up that hand. So he knows what you're talking about because he's holding up the hand that had the blood on it when he took the picture. Now, obviously, you can't, this happened, what, a week, 2 weeks ago? So, the picture that came out. And so then he holds up that hand, then he holds up the other hand, and he's like, look, there's nothing wrong with my hands. Let's play it.
The other one. Yeah. Okay. You don't want to tell us what happened with the hand?
nothing? Maybe it's AI.
Okay, so, and he says nothing. Obviously, it was something. We saw the pictures. Now, he's saying maybe it's AI. Now, by him saying that maybe it's AI, what does that do? That plants a seed in everyone's, not everyone, but it plants a seed in some people, and they might think, oh, you know what? Well, maybe it was AI. Maybe that wasn't really his hand. But in this situation, there was video of it. There was also other people, other photographers taking pictures. So, you would have to have a lot of photographers out there putting this blood on his hands, so it's just comical because, the whole situation, let me say this. The whole situation was not comical because he's obviously not being truthful. He's not being truthful. And he's showing you that he's not being truthful because they asked him, hey, what happened? What's wrong with your hand? Or what happened to your hand? And he shows his hand. He shows the actual hand that had blood on it. And then he says, I don't know what you're talking about. How do you not know what we're talking about? But you're showing us the right hand that had the blood on it. It would be better if you really want to, how can I say this? If he would have said, what do you mean? Nothing wrong with my hands. That, looking at both hands at the same time, kind of showing people, that's more believable to me than actually showing the hand that had the blood on it, which means that you've seen this before. You've seen the fact that obviously he saw the photos and stuff that were out there. It's funny to me, but by him saying AI, that is going to that will plant the seed. With some people, they're going to say, oh yeah, it was AI. You know what? The deep state, they're creating this stuff. They're making it look like, he had some blood or sores or whatever it was on his hands. What I would have thought he would have said And I think a more understandable response or excuse is the fact that he is golfing. He golfs all the time. And if you're golfing, and if you don't know, and I used to golf a little bit. I haven't golfed in a long time, but I want to get back into it. Now that I'm retired, I want to get back out there and start golfing. But the only thing about golfing, man, it costs so much money. It's a huge investment. Just going to play is like $100. And I haven't gone in a while, so I can imagine with inflation and everything, it's probably gone up a lot higher than that. But and then you always want to get the new clubs, and you're always doing things when it comes to golf. You want to go to the driving range, you're paying for that. So there's a lot of money that goes into it. It's enjoyable, and it's a good activity. I will get back to it, but it does, it's not cheap. But he could have used that excuse. I was golfing. That's understandable. We always see him out there golfing. I hurt my hand when I was golfing. But the fact that he's saying nothing happened and then holding up the hand where it actually, the hand, the popular wave, he's using that same hand. He knows what's going on. I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat. Let me know what you think. It just, oh, man. But getting to just what he was talking about as far as it could be AI, or it was, is AI. This is very dangerous. Okay, you guys, when we watched this whole clip about AI, and you saw in Slovakia the situation that happened where one of the candidates that was running, someone created this deep fake where they were talking about, or it was him saying that he was interrupting an election or cheating on an election, basically, or attempting to. So just think of how dangerous that can be if we start seeing deep fakes, which I'm telling you, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see different actors that are coming out there and trying to create these deep fakes to affect our election. So we have to really pay attention to this. It's, I might be joking about the whole hand thing with Donald Trump, but the reality is this is something that we're going to be facing. So we're going to have to know how to prepare for it. But going a step further, by Donald Trump saying that, it's just, there's nothing wrong with my hand. Think of this. Deep fakes that are actually showing President Biden, former President Trump, or anyone else, maybe some Congress people, showing them actually sick when they're not sick. But you see a deep fake and you think, oh, they're really sick, so I'm not going to vote for that person, right? Or they slow down the video. They do this with President Trump or President Biden all the time, where they'll have a video, and President Biden he talks slow anyway, and they'll have a video and they'll slow the video down even more, and so it just looks really, really odd. Me being a person that edits video a lot, I can really pick up on it when they do stuff like that, and I also know the impact of an edit. You can edit videos to make them look. It can be, just a regular video, but you can edit it and make people look different. Okay. I'll just say that. You can make people look really good. You can make people look really bad. And so, when we start talking about AI, we could see situations where we're now seeing AI and it's showing people in a very negative light, but it's actually not them. It's a deep fake. It's AI that's creating this, this type of stuff. And so something that really, I'm telling you, this is something that we need to be paying attention to. But when it comes to the former President Trump, yeah, I found it, he's giving it away. It's almost like a little kid that, he stole something or did something, and you said, what did you're scalding him, telling him, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing. He's got his hand in his pocket. Nothing. The cookies are in my pocket, but nothing. So yeah, it's it's something to watch. It definitely is. But we'll see. We'll see if they talk any more about it. But I'm telling you, like and just looking and just seeing here, looking at where the blood is on his fingers and all that stuff, you can easily explain that by saying I was golfing. You hold the clubs. I forgot how to hold clubs now. You hold the clubs like this. You have your thumb up. I don't know. There you go. There's on the screen. You hold the clubs like this. So you can have, a scar on your thumb and your finger, and on the inside, you always get calluses and stuff like that because you're swinging the club. It's just right hand. You have your right hand up above your, when you get your grip, if you're swinging, if you're right-handed, you have your grip like that. So your right hand is up above. You can easily explain that. I'm surprised he didn't say that. That is very believable to me. But by him holding his hand up and saying, it's like, okay, yeah, you do know what we're talking about. You're holding the right hand up. All right. Okay. All right, let me go to the chat. Let me see what's going on over here, what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Tammy says I'm funny. Thank you, Tammy. I'm here all night. And Mr. Fareed, watching from California. Beautiful California. It was raining today in Southern Cal, but rain has stopped, so everything is good. The weather's still nice out here, though. I'm looking at the East Coast and some of these other places, Midwest, snow and all that stuff. I mean, there are parts of California and up the north, there's snow, but out here, Southern California, man, just a couple of days ago, it was like 75 degrees. What's going on? It's 75 degrees. Crazy. So, yeah, I don't know about you guys. I know California gets a bad rap. A lot of people criticize California. How could you live there? The taxes are so high and this and that. And I like it. I was born and raised in California. I lived in Nevada for about 3.5 years when I went to college. I like Nevada as well, but California, there's everything here. If I want to go to the beach, I can go to the beach. If I want to go out to the mountains, I can go up to the mountains. I could stay, in the Southern California. I like major city, a major city nearby. You have Los Angeles, major airports. So when it comes to travel, I can easily jump on, a flight in Orange County or a flight in Ontario, San Bernardino. So I can jump on a flight in Ontario. I can jump on a flight in Los Angeles, Burbank, all over. I mean, there's so many places where you can catch flights, which means I get better deals. And then also everything is here. So I don't have to travel far to get things that I need. Like if it's electronics and things like that, some places you struggle if you're living, your rent or your mortgage might be cheap in a certain area, but you're going to lose some of those amenities. And then the most important thing of all, in and out. There's in and out here. So, all right. Let's see what else. Who else is talking about stuff in the chat? I lost my place here. Brandon says Trump does lie on occasions. Yeah. He just gave it away. Like he didn't have, I was just saying, if you're going to say something, make it a little more believable. And that wasn't very believable. Helener. I'm here from Buffalo, New York. Okay, now, I don't know if you guys know this. If you guys have been watching me for a really, really long time, then you'll know that I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. But I've never been to Buffalo. I've come close. I've been to, Albany. But I've never been to Buffalo. And I know Albany's not that close, but I've been upstate New York. That's the closest that I've been. But I want to go to Buffalo. But I've always been a Buffalo fan for years. We're talking, man, since I was a kid, since I was like 15, 16. I used to really follow them. I don't follow them as closely as I did back then, but I was, the Jim Kelly, the Bruce Smith, and Daryl Talley, and I was really into the Buffalo Bills, and I still will follow them. We had a tough loss the Chiefs. But that was all a part of the plan, right? Let's get into the whole conspiracy theory. This is another news story that's out there right now, which it's amazing to me. And you guys let me know what you think in the chat about this whole the NFL, the Biden administration convinced the NFL to fix the games so the Chiefs would win and Taylor Swift would, after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, then Kelsey will propose to Taylor Swift and then they'll both endorse Joe Biden for president. Like, this is the conspiracy theory that's out there right now. Let me know in the chat what you guys think about this. I couldn't believe that, but I mean, now all the NFL games are fixed, and it was always destined for the Chiefs to win. I will say that Buffalo Bills game was tough to watch. It was tough. I didn't really enjoy watching that game, and the kick and the missed field goal. It was tough. Yeah, that was tough to watch. But yeah, that's what we're seeing, these conspiracy theories. And so, yes, do the Chiefs have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl? Absolutely. They absolutely do. Is Taylor Swift going to endorse President Biden? Well, she endorsed him last time, so she might endorse him again if she, so those things could come true. And maybe, a part of the whole conspiracy is let's put all these things together and say that this is a whole, ploy to, I don't know, to get votes. And so they went that far. The president went that far to call the commissioner of the NFL and say, look, this is what's going to happen. We already know who's going to win. And I saw someone posted this. I follow a few different groups. They're travel groups, but someone posted something where they were showing the actual Super Bowl. It was like they had the Super Bowl teams already. And they're not the teams that we're seeing. It's not KC in San Francisco. I think San Francisco was on it, and then it was the Ravens. And that person was saying, look, it's already set up because they already had it was like a banner or not banner. God, I'm talking like I am old, but banners were way back. It was it was an advertisement picture, and it had both the teams, both teams on there, and the Super Bowl. I don't even remember what Super Bowl we're in now, but it says Super Bowl and all this stuff. So it was just advertising for the Super Bowl. But they had the teams already, and they had them picked, and this was a couple weeks ago. So how could you have the teams picked already unless it was fixed, unless it was already set up? But those teams, obviously the Chiefs are now in it, so the Chiefs weren't on that advertisement. All right. Susan says, just found your chat. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama. And my name is Susan Daniel. Love your show. Thank you very much, Susan. I appreciate your support. And yeah, so if you guys don't know how the whole chat thing works, if you're watching on your phone, pull up the chat on your phone. I think when you just open it up, there'll be a chat. Is it on the bottom? Oh, yeah. I can't even remember on your phone. I usually watch stuff if it's a live stream, I like to watch it on the computer. But if you're watching on your computer, you're just going to see it off to the side, to the right. Yeah, and if you're watching on your phone and you see the chat, let me know where you see the chat on, because I can't remember. I can't remember. Okay. All right. We have Tammy coming from North Dakota. Must be cold out there in North Dakota. Let's see. Who else is in the building? Ruth is writing big paragraphs here, Ruth. Thank you for your support. Thank you for participating in the chat. I don't even know where to start. Will I be able to get my daughter's child tax credit? Depends on how old your daughter is. I mean, yeah, the child tax credit will go to the parent. Your child has to be 16 or under. Now, understand this. So if you guys don't understand, you know what we're talking about. There's a child tax credit bill that passed the House yesterday. I did a video about it. So if you want more details, check out the last video that I posted. That's what I talked about. But it has not passed the Senate yet. And so it still has that hurdle. It has to pass the Senate, and then it needs to be signed off by the president. You do have some senators that are in opposition to this child tax credit, but I think it will still pass. And the reason that I'm saying that is because this is a bipartisan bill. You have both Democrats and Republicans that are on, that are on board for this bill. I think 300 in the House, 357 lawmakers voted for it, and 70 voted against it. Both Democrats and Republicans did vote against it. There were a few, but overwhelming 357 votes out of 435. That's a lot of yeses, right? So it does have the potential to pass in the Senate. In the Senate, they need to get 60 votes. And so you're not going to, the way our parties are kind of structured is you're going to have the far right and then the far right and then the far left, right? And a lot of times they don't like to play ball, okay? So the extremes on both sides. Usually if it's a bipartisan bill, you're going to get the middle. You're going to get if you want to call them moderate Democrats and, moderate Republicans, you're going to get that kind of middle. That's the majority of the votes. And then the fringe, a lot of them are going to, I won't say a lot, but some of them are going to vote against it. So that's what we saw in this bill. Bipartisan bill, we saw on both sides, the kind of the fringe, they were voting against it. So like progressive Democrats were voting against it, and then the Freedom Caucus, they were voting against it. So those are the main people that didn't want this bill for different reasons. The progressives, they wanted more money when it came to a child tax credit. They wanted like the $3,600. Right now, $3,600 per child for a child. I think it was under 6, so 5 and under, and then $3,000 per child for children 16 and under. And that's what the child tax credit was before, when they were doing the monthly payments. But we're not going to see monthly payments in this child tax credit if they pass it, and it's going to be $2,000 per child. And they will also adjust it according to inflation. So it'll be a little more than $2,000 actually when they make that adjustment for inflation. So, but yes, it goes to the parents. So it's a credit. So when you're doing your taxes, you'll get a credit, and then there's a refundable portion where you can get up to, I think for 2023 you can get up to $1,800. For 2024 you can get up to $1,900, and then 2025 you can get up to $2,000 refundable. So that means that's going to be a check that's sent to you. All right, but it has to pass. So we're still waiting. As soon as I find out more information about it, then I'll definitely come back to you guys and let you know that it passed and where we go from here. All right, if you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button if you're in here and you have not done so, and that will bring some more people into the room. And we'll look at some more of the comments here in the chat. Let's see. Karen is watching from Florida. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for your support. Let's see. Ellen is watching from Texas. All right, Texas. I do want to talk about the situation that's going on in Texas. And I want your guys' input too, so let me know what you guys think about this. I can't look at every message that's on here. So I'm kind of looking and then kind of going back and forth. So I apologize if I didn't get your message, because I have a lot of messages in the chat. So I'm kind of going through and filtering out. I won't even say filtering out. I'm just trying to see what I can respond to and what I can't. Like what I have time to respond to. I can't. I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking straight right now. But I do want to talk about Texas. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on the border. Right now, we are looking at the Senate putting together this bipartisan border bill. And they were moving along, progressing. I would say that they were getting, they've pretty much gotten the language down. They haven't put it on paper yet. I haven't seen it yet, but they're getting there. And so with this border bill, we would see an automatic shutdown of the border once if people are seeking asylum right now, they can just come, all they need to do is step foot onto the U.S. land, and then they can seek asylum. And so they get a hearing and all of that. Well, what's going on is there's so many people that are doing that right now that there's a backlog. So they can't do these hearings fast enough. And so if there's a backlog, what they're doing is they're telling them, okay, you have a court date and this is when you need to appear. And they're letting them stay in the country. And so that is what some people are really upset about. And so with this new border bill that they're working on in the Senate, part of it is saying, okay, 5,000 hearings, we can do 5,000 hearings in a week. So we'll allow 5,000 people to come, and seek asylum, but we have to be able to keep up with the hearings. So we don't want to have to tell them, okay, you can come back in a month, 2 months, a year, however long they're on this list. They want to take care of it right away. That way, if they're seeking asylum, they can go ahead and do the hearing right away and then tell them, okay, you're accepted in, or no, you're not going to be accepted in. So that's what they're trying to do with this new bill. Now, once they get over that 5,000 per week, once the hearing, they're not going to do the backlog. They're just going to close the doors, and those people are going to have to stay wherever they are. If they're in Mexico, they're going to have to stay there and wait until they have an opportunity to come in and be heard. Okay, so that's all that or I won't say that's all. There's a lot of other things that are in the bill. There's more funding for the border and stuff like that, more Border Patrol agents. But that's what's going on right now when it comes to the border bill. Now we have another issue that's going on in Texas. The Governor Abbott is basically saying, I don't need the federal government to protect my border. I'm going to protect it. We're going to protect it on our own. He also has support from 25 other states. And they're basically saying this is a disagreement. Let's call it disagreement. A disagreement between the federal government and the state, okay, and the state of Texas. Now, this went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled on this and said, look, they have barbed wire, razor wire up right now. And I believe I have a video clip I can show you guys, but I'll talk a little bit about it first while I'm setting it up. So they have razor wire right now, and what the Supreme Court has said is they said that the federal government has the authority. They're giving the Border Patrol agents the authority to cut the razor wire if they need to cut the razor wire for emergency situations. Okay, so if someone's drowning or if Border Patrol agents just need to get to a certain area, they have the authority to cut the wire. But Governor Abbott says, no, we're not allowing Border Patrol agents to be in this area, basically kicking them out if you want to look at it that way. And so now there's that argument. Does Texas, do they control their border? Or does the federal government, the supreme law of the land, can they step in and say, no, we're going to we have access here, so we have authority here, so we're gonna go ahead and access these points. So that's what's going on right now, and some people are calling this. We could see a civil war and all this stuff. I don't think it will get to that that level, but it's something that's serious, definitely serious, because now we have a standoff, and the Supreme Court has ruled on this, and the Supreme Court is the highest law of the land, right? And when they rule on something, it's final. And so because they've ruled on it and they said, no, Texas, you need to allow the Border Patrol agents to get into that area if they need to get into that area. And since Texas is saying no, that's a huge problem, right? What I find interesting about this is that ultimately when it comes to Texas, comes to any state, if things get too bad, where do they go? They go to the federal government. Let's just look at a situation like this where they have this set up. And I was listening to a congressman talk about this, and he was kind of, saying this is all smoke and mirrors. This is Governor Abbott is just, this is not the way it appears, is basically what this congressman was saying. This congressman, he was a Democrat. Okay. So he was saying that just go 1 mile down the road and it's wide open. There's no razor wire. There are no containers, because they have like the trucking containers that are blocking the area right on the river. He said, just go a mile down the road. It's wide open. This is all just what's the word, God? You guys know the word I'm thinking about. It's all for show, basically. That's what he was saying. And so let's just look at a situation where, let's say it does get to a point where Texas is overwhelmed, and now, Texas can only hold this so long. I mean, eventually you are going to run out of funds. And when it comes to the states have to balance their budget every year. It's not like the federal government. The federal government can run a deficit. But states, they actually have to balance their budget. And so if they have to balance their budget, then they only have, they can't just put things on credit cards. Like the federal government can just put things on credit cards. That's why we're running this national debt continues to rise. It's at $33 trillion now. It's going to continue to go up because we overspend. States can't do that. So when they get to a point where they've run out of money, and they're going to run out of money because they're only, you got to pay. Let's say you have security, you have police officers on the border, you have National Guard on the border, you have to pay those people. And so you have a limited amount of time that those people can be there. Now, I know they're talking about National Guard. Other states are talking about sending their National Guard and all of that. Everyone needs to get paid. Let's just put it that way. So there could come a time where Texas says, you know what, hey, we need assistance. And so that could be something that we see in the future. Okay. Let's see. I can cue this up for you guys, and we'll take a look at this. I think I don't remember if this is where this is coming from. Let me click on it first, and we'll go.
.com/shape.
We're following the potential for a major constitutional crisis as the GOP is calling on Texas to openly defy the United States Supreme Court. Governor Greg Abbott vowing to ignore the high court's decision allowing the Biden administration to remove razor wire installed on the southern border. The wire intended to stop migrant crossings. The Biden administration arguing that the wire actually impedes Border Patrol from doing its job. Abbott being cheered on by high-profile GOP leaders who are encouraging his unlawful defiance. He's receiving support from 25 GOP-led states. Some saying that the feud between the Texas governor and the Biden administration is turning into a constitutional crisis. Texas Congressman Chip Roy even musing about a, quote, post-constitutional world.
It is long past time for Texas to just go ahead and tell the federal government, no, I do not want to live in a post-constitutional world, but this court is pushing our hand, and the court needs to know that.
This is coming from the so-called Law and Order Party. Chip Roy followed up.
Okay, now you have to understand where this is coming from. This is MSNBC, so they're going to be very critical of the Republican Party.
Up those remarks on Fox News, encouraging other Republican governors to defy the Supreme Court and to defy federal law.
I'm glad there are Republican governors around the nation that are saying we stand with Greg Abbott in Texas. But okay, now what? Do you really stand with us? Are you sending the National Guard? Are you going to tell President Biden to pound sand that we're not going to follow whatever nonsense he's trying to force upon the people?
So we've seen firsthand what happens when Republicans encourage this kind of flagrant disregard for the law. Donald Trump's determination to unlawfully subvert the peaceful transfer of power already led to an attempted coup on January 6th, for which he is now facing criminal charges for his involvement. And he has only escalated his rhetoric since then, giving glimpses of what he promises will be an authoritarian second term.
You are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except
this is the best lead in. You're promising that you won't. And then all the response that he wanted, the response that he wanted to get from this, he didn't get. He got the opposite. And then he tried to clean it up. I don't know. I thought it was comical because, you know, if you're interviewing someone and you're leading them to, you know, you're trying to lead, just, you know, attorneys do this all the time. They ask these leading questions because they want you to go where they want, you know, they want to steer you in the right direction. And they tried to steer him in that direction, and he went opposite.
for day one.
Except
Look,
for?
he's going crazy. Except for day one. I said I want to be a dictator for one day. Sean, I only want to be a dictator for one day.
I only want to be a dictator
running
for
your
one day.
country.
Joining me now is Michael Beschloss, NBC News presidential historian. Michael, we're always having these huge conversations, and yet the moment deserves it, does it not? Because now we see somebody like Greg Abbott, big state, Texas, Governor Greg Abbott. He's always been a loud instigator, but now he's using his position as governor to openly flout federal authority. In your opinion, has this border issue now reached the level of a constitutional crisis?
Not yet, but it has happened in the past. And I'm not saying that we're on the verge of a civil war like 1861, but what was happening in 1861 was that Southern governors and Southern officials were saying, we Southern states have to withdraw from the United States because we disagree about this issue of slavery. And Abraham Lincoln, the incoming president, said, you can't do that because that's against the Constitution. We wound up fighting a war for 4 years. That's not going to happen this time. May God forbid that that should ever happen. But maybe the tighter parallel is the civil rights era of the 1950s and the 1960s. 1964, the Supreme Court said that segregated schools in America can never be equal. They're inherently unequal, so there has to be racial integration. And to stop that, a lot of officials and a lot of mainly Southern states, especially Virginia, said, we're going to have massive resistance to the Supreme Court and the federal government. We're going to pass a lot of state laws that defy federal power, and we'll even do other things. There will be riots against people who are trying to integrate schools. The violence will get to be so great that Americans will not be able to carry out the Supreme Court's order. And in 1957, Dwight Eisenhower would send in the Army to integrate the high school in Little Rock. 1963, John Kennedy federalized the National Guard in Alabama to integrate the University of Alabama. Again, those were not Civil War conditions, but these are really bad omens.
And Michael, though, the problem that I see among several is the fact that this is not just rhetoric that we're hearing from Greg Abbott. We're seeing him have people in law enforcement capacities openly defy what the United States Supreme Court has told them to do. Right. And now we have Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who on prior occasions has sent the Florida National Guard to assist Greg Abbott. He is going to be doing it again. There is action that's being taken to openly flout federal law. Putting aside the hypocrisy, though, like cherry picking the decisions and the opinions you want to have from your Supreme Court, the ones that you think help you if you are a Republican governor, how is there a cessation to this? How do you actually pump the brakes and make sure that there's compliance on the part of these Republican governors?
Well, our Constitution, as you well know, is based on a tension between states' rights and federal rights. But the times that have been dangerous for our democracy have been when local officials and state officials carry it on too far. And the other thing, you and I, Katie, often ask of history, what's unusual about the moment that we're living in, as you said earlier, 2024. What's unusual is that for the first time in all of American history, you've got a likely nominee, Donald Trump, of one of the two major parties, who has said, if I'm president, I'm going to be a dictator. I might suspend the Constitution, and who in the past has incited and encouraged violence to achieve his aims, and has actually suggested that if there's a Biden victory this fall, perhaps people should go into the streets. This is a situation that we have not had before, and it's dangerous.
Michael Beschloss, as you said, hopefully history does not repeat itself in ways.
All right. So that was MSNBC. Now, I show all different news outlets, okay? I showed CNN earlier, MSNBC here. I showed Fox before, not in this live stream, but it's interesting, too, because in a lot of situations, you can really tell the angle they're playing. But the gist of the whole situation, I think, was accurate. So we are looking at a situation right now in Texas where where does it go from here? And I see a couple of responses here. Let's see. Michael Andres, let's post yours here. Says Texas has the power to leave the union of this United States. So look, it'll never happen. Texas, they talked about this before. Texas seceding from the U.S. It will never happen, because you're going to go from being the number one superpower to creating your own, seceding from the U.S. And now, you're going to go from superpower to, I don't even know where Texas would fall as far as the revenue that they bring in. I know California is like the sixth largest economy in the world, or 6 or 7, something like that. So I'm sure Texas would be around there. I think they would probably be below that, but they would never do that. You're not going to give up all the rights that you have in the U.S. and then to create your own. I just don't see that happening. And financially, I don't think it would be a smart thing to do either. Plus, now you have to build up your own military. I mean, you don't have a military, so you're going to have to build up a military. That's going to take time. So I don't think it would be something that, I don't even think it's something that is talked about, but in this day and age, I could never see them doing that, because now they're on their own. Now you don't just have a border, a southern border, but now you got a border all around you. I just don't see it happening. Could other states come on board? Potentially. But then again, you also need to think about like revenue streams. You can say what you want about California and New York, but California and New York bring in a lot of revenue. Okay. And part of that could be from taxes and things, but they bring in a lot of revenue. And so when you talk about doing things on your own, going at it alone, that's a huge risk. It is. So I mean, you know, like I was saying, when it comes to this whole border situation, if we see this for a prolonged period of time, Texas saying, no, we're not letting the federal government in, and, you know, there's kind of a back and forth, eventually, if we're looking at both sides, eventually Texas is going to have to crack. They're not going to be able to not allow the federal government to, in essence, do their job, because that's Border Patrol agents are just saying that, hey, look, we just want to do our job on the border. And if we see a need that we need to cut this razor wire so we can get to the other side or to do whatever we need to do, we're going to do that. When that starts happening, what is the response going to be? You have Border Patrol agents cutting wire, and now you have National Guard on the other side, or, you know, like, what happens? I just can't see it going. I hope we don't see an escalation in that situation. But I think ultimately, if you want to look at who has the leverage, I would think that the federal government has the federal government has the law on their side. The federal government, the Supreme Court has ruled on this. So the federal government has the law saying, look, this is the law of the land. Now, this is what has been ruled by the Supreme Court, and we're following through with that ruling. So, and we're supposed to, when it comes down to it, we are supposed to listen to the Supreme Court in situations like this. When there's a disagreement, let's just look at the court process, period. When you have a disagreement with someone else, what do? Ultimately, if you can't resolve it on your own, you go to court. And when you go to court, the judge rules, like, you know, what was that show called? What was that show? Night Court? But what was it? People's Court. There you go. People's Court. You go, and I say People's Court because I used to watch it when I was a kid all the time. Dun, dun, dun. I used to love it. But when you go to court, like, you're going to court because you don't agree with the other side. You go to court. When the judge rules, guess what? It's final. Unless you want to appeal it, and you can appeal it, and you can appeal it all the way to where? To the Supreme Court. It reached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has ruled. It's final. So you have the federal government on one side coming with the law, and then you have Texas on the other side fighting the actual ruling. But they're on the wrong side of the legal argument. Okay. Patrick says, hey, David. Thank you. Hey, David. Wow. Getting tired. Patrick says, hey, David. What's going on, Patrick? All right. This is interesting. Mr. Bransom says it's all about creating controversy during an election year. You could be very, very correct. We're seeing a lot of controversy right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, and that's one of the things. And I've been putting out videos lately. Been putting out a lot of videos about Congress. I when I look at certain situations, there's usually one party that's always a part of the situation. When I say one party, I'm not talking about Democrats or Republicans. Just talking about a party, a group of people. It's usually Congress. Congress is behind a lot of the chaos that we see today. You could say the president the president plays a role. You could say former President Trump plays a role. But Congress has their hands in so much stuff, so much chaos. And so I started doing some videos just showing you some of the different Congress people and some of the things that they've been involved with or alleged to be involved with, or there was the Representative Salazar out of Miami, and I did a video a couple of days ago about that, where she was out there voted against these bills, but when the money showed up, because of course some of these bills, they had money, especially like the infrastructure bill that was passed and some of these other bills, they had money that was tied to it. And so when the money came, Representative Salazar was on the front lines there signing the check, $650,000, here you go, coming from our federal government. But guess what? He voted against that bill. So just imagine if you are a lawmaker and you voted for that bill and you see Representative Salazar out there, you know, in a public forum signing this check for $650,000, and you know she voted against that bill. It's just, oh man, whew, I'd be pretty irritated. Just watch it. I mean, just as a constituent, you should be irritated because she obviously voted against the bill, and now the money's there, so she's like, hey, look what we have. Also, when it comes to Miami Airport, very nice airport. I fly out of Miami on occasion. Very nice airport. They got some infrastructure money. And I don't know how she was taking credit for that. Maybe she mentioned it or something, but she voted against that infrastructure bill. So it's just, I mean, a lot of the chaos that we're seeing, it's caused by not all Congress people, but there are a select few Congress people that I don't think they're there to actually legislate. I think they're there just to create chaos, because they've learned that if you create chaos, you can fundraise off that. You can play the victim and say, look, they're attacking me, and send me money. I think Lauren Boebert she's getting a wake-up call, because she is a congressperson out of Colorado, out of the 3rd district, but she moved districts. She moved to the 4th district, and she moved to the 4th district because she barely won in the 3rd district in her last election. And so now she's like, I'm probably not going to win because she doesn't have anything to run on. She doesn't have a record to run on. She didn't do anything in the 2 years that she was there. Not a thing. They didn't pass any legislation that was signed into law. I mean, that's pretty bad. When you don't have anything to show for, you can't say, look, I brought this back to the district. She can't say any of that. And maybe that was why Representative Salazar in Miami said, hey, you know, I'm going to be here signing this check. Even though I voted against it, I got to show something, right? But in the last 2 years, some of these representatives have nothing to show for their last 2 years. It's almost like if you're working a job, or it's exactly like if you're working a job and your boss says you're coming up for your review. And we used to have this every year we did it. We come up for our review, and our boss would say, and ours was kind of funny, but the boss would say, okay, you know, write up a hero sheet for me. Basically, write up the things that you've done in the last year. And in my position, it was a little unique. I was working on a task force, so I was outside of my office. Okay, so I was working a detail. For 7 years, I was out doing this detail, this task force. So my boss he couldn't keep tabs on me because I was out, you know, doing stuff. And so he would tell me every year, hey, write me a little hero sheet. Give me all the details of, you know, things that you did, you know, the bust that you guys were involved in, and all this and all that. And so then he would take it, and then he would write it up, you know, write up my evaluation. But I had to show something, right? Could you imagine if you're at work and you don't show anything? You don't have anything to show for the last year or 2 years that you were there. Your boss would be like, what is this? Get out of my office. And then you might get fired. So, yeah, Lauren Boebert was in the 3rd district, or is in the 3rd district right now. And now she's running in the 4th district. She moved districts because she fears that she's going to lose in the 3rd district if she stays there. But it caught up with her because she moved to the 4th district. They just had a debate, and I showed this video as well. And in that debate, one funny part of the debate is there was 9 people on the 9 candidates that are running for the 4th district in Colorado. And they asked, have any of you guys been arrested? Or raise your hand if you've been arrested. 6 of them out of the 9, 6 of them raised their hand. And the crazy part about it is the audience was cheering and laughing. The candidates were laughing and high-fiving and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, what? This is crazy. That's something that in the old days, you'd be embarrassed if you got arrested for anything. You'd be embarrassed of it, let alone if you're sitting in a job interview and they ask you if you've ever been arrested. You're not going to be laughing saying, yeah, I've been arrested. Hey, high five. No, but I don't know. This is where we are now. We have politicians that just think it's funny to be arrested. They think it's a badge of honor. I don't understand that one bit. But anyway, so another part of this debate, they did a straw poll. So they polled, I think it was like 1,600 people or something like that. I want to say they poll, usually a straw poll is like they poll the people in the room. But in this poll, out of the 9 candidates, Lauren Boebert came in 5th. So she's not even close to being a front runner. I don't even know who won, but she came in 5th. That doesn't look good for her because she might not even win the primary in the 4th district, which means that she'll be out. She's no longer running in the 3rd district. And so she can't go back to the 3rd district. She's made her decision. She's in the 4th district. She filed the paperwork there. And so she'll probably be out. But when you have some of these politicians that are just, they're not there. They're not representing people. They're just there to, get a paycheck. They see an opportunity and they can easily get out there and cause controversy and say, because controversy gets attention. And if you get attention, then you get, you people know who you are, and then you can just kind of run on that. I can't believe what they did here, and they're yelling and screaming and making noise, and that's going to get people fired up. And some people will vote for them, and then when they get in office and they don't do anything, now they start scrambling, like, what am I going to do? What is my next move? So, yeah, just really crazy. But anyway, I just wanted to come on. We're going to do these live streams every Thursday. But as I stated, I need your help. The first thing I need you to do is like the video so we can get this out to more people. And then just show up. And, I gauge it on that. Like, I love doing live streams because it allows me to and we're going to look at the chat before we go, but it allows me to look and listen to what you guys have to say. And the good thing is I'm talking to people all over the U.S. and sometimes in other countries. I saw someone earlier that was watching from Mexico. I have people that watch from the Philippines. The people that are, a lot of people they're expats. So they might live in Mexico. They might live in Colombia, live in Philippines or Thailand, all over the world. So it's a good way for me to kind of reach out and talk with you guys and see how you guys feel about some of these situations, because it's, we don't really have a straight, I think when it comes to media, a media outlet, we don't have like a media outlet that's just pretty much straight down the middle. Maybe PBS, but when it comes to like news that's coming out, we if we're looking at national news, we're usually consuming it from either Fox, MSNBC, or CNN. That's generally where we're getting. And then you have some of these internet news outlets, but they're even, in my opinion, they're even further, divided as far as like the Newsmax and some of these other TYT, some of these different networks that are online based, they're either far left, far right. And then you have, like I said, the Fox News, MSNBC, and then CNN. Those are the major places that we're consuming news. I think the best way to get your news, if you really want to kind of get a not too much commentary, not too much, leaning left or leaning right, the best way to get it is looking at Reuters, reading news articles from Reuters or Associated Press. I think those are probably the two best to get information if you don't want that slanted bias. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at the chat and see if you guys have any questions or any statements that you're making here. All right. Biden promised to Jamie. Biden promised to what? Oh, promised that Texas could leave the union. Yeah, I don't think Texas is going anywhere. I don't think that's a thing. Brandon, I saw you asking this question here about will online voting ever become a thing? I don't know. That just seems I'm afraid of that. I'm just going to say that. I'm afraid of online voting. I just even now when you go to vote, they have the electronic system, but it's backed up by the actual, it's printed, I don't know. Online, that just seems crazy to me. I think that would raise even more suspicion about our election system. I think our election system now is working. I don't agree with people that are saying that it's rigged and it's fake and all that stuff. I think our system is working. But I think if we did go online, now that raises even more questions. Like, oh, well, at least now we do have the physical copies. And I remember, wow, I'm getting so old. This is 20 years ago, about 22, 23 years ago. I was a campaign manager for a candidate running for state assembly out here in California. And that was I loved doing that. It was great. It was an eye opener. It gave me a lot of insight into how things work when it comes to our system, our voting, the whole voting system. And that was one of the things that we had to set up. We had to get the can't remember what you call them. Basically, an observer in each ballot office or ballot everywhere you're voting. What am I trying? I can't even think of voting poll. We had to have an observer, and they would just sit there, and they would come from you'd have so both candidates could have observers that come and sit down, and they just basically watch the voting process just to make sure there's nothing fraudulent going on. And that's all to show that, hey, everything is on the up and up. But like I was saying, everything now is printed. Like, even though you're doing it electronically, it's still printed. I remember when I did my first electronic. When I say electronic, it's not the old Chads, the little Scantron thing where you go and you either circle it in or you punch it out. It wasn't that anymore. Or in some polling places, it's not that anymore. It's like just a screen. You go in there and it's like a touch screen and you're just touching who you want, but then it will print out the actual, what you're actually touching. Now, I'm already saying that if we want to, what I'm saying is if we went online, completely online, because even that, you have people that are saying, well, no, that, you're pushing one button and it's showing something else or what have you, which, like I said, I don't agree with that. But I can only imagine if it was online only. How do you keep track of it? Like, yeah, it would be, I think that would be a disaster. We're not even close to being there for that, in my opinion. Greetings from Portland, Deidre. How do you say your name? Desiree. Oh, Desiree. Okay. Let's see. Greetings from Portland. Late, but hopefully not. Please. Okay. What do you say? Late, but hopefully not last or not least. Okay. Any other questions that you guys have? AI, Terminator. Yeah, I am. We talked a little bit about AI earlier today. I am concerned about it. I definitely am, because I think, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm concerned about it overall. I was going to say I'm not really concerned about people in the U.S. doing stuff like that, but I mean, hey, hey. But I'm very concerned about outside agitators getting involved in our system by putting out false information. Okay. All right, I'm just looking through the chat really quickly. If you guys have any questions, now's the time to post them in the chat. Or if you want to make any statements, we're going to be going pretty soon. Marquise from Memphis. What's going on? Thank you for stopping by, brother. All right. Any last thoughts? She said, nah. Okay, yeah. All right, Desiree. Yeah, I see it now. Not last. All right. So, as I stated, on your way out, hit the like button. That helps me out. Got my sister in the building. Hello. And hello, David. You don't have a question for me? All right. Yeah. If you guys have questions, or if you guys can do me a favor, like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and we're going to be doing this every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's the time that I have set right now, and I'm going to kind of, see how that works. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, if it's not good for people, then maybe we'll change it up just a little bit. But that's where we're going right now. Now, I will also be doing live streams if something significant happens. Okay, so I'll just jump on real quick, do a live stream. That might not be a long, like this. How long we've been on? Does it show me the time? It doesn't. I don't see how long. Oh, about an hour and 40 minutes we've been on. But if something happens, something significant, let's just say we know right now that there's a situation where President Biden has said we'll be responding to the situation that happened in Jordan with the 3 service members that were killed. If we do something, respond to that, I'll go live and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I really want to make this more of a kind of a headline news where we can kind of chat back and forth and watch news at the same time. There's so much going on. We have Trump. He's going to be going through some court cases. I want to cover that. We have we already talked about some of the chaos that's going on in Congress. So I'm going to cover some of those things, but just other news topics as well I want to cover. And it's easier for me just to open up a live stream and start talking about it on a live stream than to shoot a video. One of the frustrations of shooting videos is this happens a lot, especially if you're covering news stories. You get the video done, and just so you know, it'll take me probably about an hour to hour and a half to do research on a video. Then I sit down, I shoot the video. It'll take me about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to shoot the video. And then I have to edit the video. It takes another 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And then I upload the video. Depending on the internet speed at the time, it could take 10 minutes. It could take 30 minutes. So all of that time We're talking about maybe 4 to 5 hours from start to finish. And then I post the video. But what happens a lot is by the time I've gone through all of that, the story changes. Or there's something that's added to the story. And so now I gotta oh man, I gotta shoot another portion. Some people ask, why do you always wear this black shirt? I wore this black shirt because I don't have to think about, what was I wearing when sometimes I don't shoot all the video in one day. I might shoot one day and then I come back and I shoot some more of it and all that stuff. I never have to worry about what I was wearing because I know I was wearing a black shirt. I was wearing this black shirt. So that, and I have like 3 of these black shirts. So I know anytime I want to shoot a video, I can come down and shoot the video and not have to worry about what I was wearing and try to match that, in the video. So you guys won't see that I shot the video, different times and all that stuff. So anyway, I say all that to say, when I do a live stream, it's a lot easier because I can just sit down, shoot the live stream, and then I'm done. And it's up to date information because it's happening right now. Whereas if I shoot a video and actually edit the video, it takes time for me to edit and upload and all that. And if the story changes, there are videos. Sometimes I'll shoot a video and I won't even post it because it's changed so much. I'm talking about a government shutdown, and then they reach a deal. And so I've edited this video around a government shutdown, but they've made a deal. So now we won't see a government shutdown. And it's like, okay, well, I can't even put the video out because the information is not even true anymore. So different struggles, All right. So Minister Deborah, thank you very much for your support. Minister Deborah's been here for all of my live streams. Well, this is what, my 2nd or 3rd. I appreciate that, Minister. Let's see. What do we have? One last question here. Desiree says, why do you keep announcing it if it's a security matter? Doesn't make a lot of sense regarding Iran. I don't know if I understand what you're saying. If it's a security matter. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I understand exactly what you're saying there, Desiree. Okay. So government shutdowns, they don't affect Social Security, Brandon. That is, well, it will impact the Social Security Administration, the actual offices, but it's not going to impact checks or anything. They will still go out if we see a government shutdown. And I say if we see a government shutdown because we're constantly, this is an ongoing thing. So the last talk of a government shutdown was January 19th. We got past that because they did a continuing resolution until March. And so now in March, we could potentially see a government shutdown if they can't vote on these appropriations bills or just pretty much do a continued resolution until the end of the year, which would be the end of September. So we'll see where that goes. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take off. Thank you guys all for stopping by. We will be back on Thursday next week, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Talk to you later. Bye.